You made a decision this morning. Maybe it was what to eat. Maybe it was whether to check your phone before getting out of bed. Maybe it was something you told yourself was logical, a choice you made after weighing the options, considering the consequences, arriving at a rational conclusion. You were not doing any of that. Not really. Not first. Because by the time your conscious mind stepped in to explain your decision, the decision had already been made, by something older, faster, and far less interested in your reasoning than you are. This is not a theory. This is one of the most replicated findings in modern neuroscience. And understanding it changes the way you see every choice you have ever made. In the 1980s, neuroscientist Benjamin Libet conducted an experiment that unsettled the scientific world. He asked participants to flex their wrist whenever they felt like it, and to note the position of a dot on a clock face at the moment they felt the urge to move. Meanwhile, he measured electrical activity in their brains. What he found created a controversy that has never fully settled. The brain showed a measurable surge of electrical activity, what Libet called the readiness potential, about half a second before participants reported feeling the conscious urge to move. The brain had already begun preparing the action before the person knew they wanted to do it. The feeling of deciding came after the decision had started. Consciousness, it seemed, was not the author of the action. It was the narrator, arriving after the fact, writing the story of a choice it did not make. Libet's findings were debated, refined, extended. But the core implication has held up across decades of research. The conscious experience of making a decision is, at least in part, a reconstruction. Your brain acts. Then it tells you a story about why. But if consciousness is not driving the car, what is? The answer lies deeper than thought. It lies in a system neuroscientists call the somatic marker hypothesis, first proposed by Antonio Damasio at the University of Iowa. Damasio was studying patients with damage to a region of the brain called the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, people who had perfectly intact intelligence, perfect reasoning ability, but who were catastrophically bad at making decisions in real life. They could analyze situations endlessly. They could list pros and cons indefinitely. But they could not choose. Without the ability to feel, they could not decide. What Damasio discovered was that the body keeps score in a very specific way. Every experience you have had, every outcome, every loss, every reward, every moment of fear or pleasure or shame, has left a mark on your nervous system. These marks are what he called somatic markers, physical sensations, gut feelings, micro-expressions of emotion that arise faster than thought and flag options as good or bad before you have consciously evaluated them. When you face a decision, your body has already run a rapid simulation based on every relevant experience in your past. It sends you a feeling. And that feeling shapes the decision before your reasoning mind has said a single word. This is why you sometimes know the answer before you know why you know it. Why a job offer feels wrong even though it looks right on paper. Why you distrust someone you have just met without being able to articulate a reason. Why you walk into a room and immediately want to leave. Your somatic markers are not noise. They are data. They are the compressed wisdom of everything you have ever survived. But here is where it gets complicated. Your somatic markers were shaped by your past. And your past was not a neutral teacher. It was shaped by your fears, your wounds, your environment, the specific experiences that happened to you rather than the full range of experiences that could have happened. This means your gut feelings are not always right. They are always fast. They are always strong. But they carry the biases of everything that formed them. If you grew up in an environment where certain kinds of people were dangerous, your somatic markers will flag those kinds of people as threats, regardless of whether any specific individual actually is. If you experienced failure in a particular domain, your gut will pull you away from risk in that domain, even when risk is exactly what the situation calls for. Your instincts are a map. But they were drawn from a limited territory. This is why psychologist Daniel Kahneman spent decades studying what he called the two systems of thinking. System 1 is fast, automatic, emotional, effortless. It is the somatic marker system, the gut, the instinct. System 2 is slow, deliberate, logical, effortful. It is the reasoning mind, the conscious narrator. Kahneman's central finding was not that one system is better than the other. It was that we dramatically overestimate how much System 2 is actually running the show. We believe we are reasoning our way to decisions. We are mostly rationalizing, constructing post hoc explanations for choices System 1 has already made. We are the lawyer hired after the verdict, not the judge deliberating before it. The implications of this are uncomfortable. It means that most of what you call your opinions are not conclusions you have reasoned your way to. They are positions your gut took first, which your reasoning mind then defended. It means that much of what you call logic is actually emotion wearing a suit. It means that your confidence in a decision tells you almost nothing about whether the decision is correct, only about how strongly your System 1 responded to the situation. And yet, System 1 is not wrong. It is extraordinarily capable. Expert intuition, the kind that allows a chess grandmaster to see the right move in seconds, or a firefighter to sense that a building is about to collapse before there is any visible sign, is System 1 operating at its best. It is pattern recognition trained by thousands of hours of relevant experience, compressed into a feeling that arrives instantly. The gut of an expert is not guessing. It is calculating faster than consciousness can follow. The problem is knowing when to trust it. Psychologist Gary Klein spent years studying expert decision-makers, firefighters, military commanders, intensive care nurses, and found that in high-stakes, time-pressured situations with clear feedback, expert intuition was remarkably reliable. But research consistently shows that intuition breaks down in environments that are irregular, where feedback is delayed or absent, where the patterns that shaped your instincts do not match the patterns in front of you. In those environments, which describes most of modern life, the gut is confident but unreliable. It is drawing on a map that does not match the territory. So what do you do with this? You cannot turn off System 1. You cannot stop your gut from having opinions before your reasoning mind arrives. But you can learn to notice the gap, the moment between the feeling and the story you tell about the feeling. You can ask, is this instinct coming from experience that is actually relevant to this situation? Or is it coming from somewhere older, somewhere more personal, somewhere that has nothing to do with what is actually in front of me? You can hold the feeling and examine it. Not dismiss it. Not surrender to it. Hold it up and ask what it knows, and where it learned it, and whether what it learned is still true. Because every decision you make is a conversation between two versions of yourself. The ancient one, who reads the room in milliseconds and has kept you alive through every hard thing you have faced. And the slower one, who can step back, look further, and sometimes see what the ancient one cannot. Neither one is the enemy. But only one of them knows what year it is.